Greetings, everyone. I'm going to have to change my intro for this new skit series. So, it is your mentor, Andrew here, with a new lore series for you guys. Today we're going to be doing Assassin's Creed lore, and we're going to be starting with the Hidden Blade. That's why I have my Desmond Miles hoodie, my Bayek Eagle Skull necklace, and my Ezio bracer. So we're going to get right into it. So, while the first on-screen Hidden Blade was used in 2007 for the first Assassin's Creed game by Altair, the game takes place in 1191. In game lore, the first ever Hidden Blade was used by this man. This man is Darius. And you see he wears his Hidden Blade on the outside of his forearm instead of on the inner. The only other assassin, and I say that sparingly because I know how it is, was Eivor. They wore theirs also on their outer forearm, which with their reasoning being, I'm not going to hide from my enemies. I want them to see me coming. So that was his or her, depending on what sequence you went for, their reasoning. Now, Darius's Hidden Blade eventually made it to Cleopatra in the 1st century BCE, who then gave it to Aya, who then gave it to her husband Bayek. And Bayek wore his on the inner forearm, and because of that, during one of the sequences of the game for Assassin's Creed Origins, we see him lose his ring finger because of the blade. I can make a separate video on that later. Then the Hidden Blade was used by the assassins throughout their whole history, and it changed over time. There have been a few different instances. Now, for most Hidden Blades, to extend them, you would flick your wrist and the blade would extend itself. And then to put it back in, you would flick your wrist again. Now, it's not explained how in the game that happens, but if you own an Assassin's Creed Hidden Blade prop that's not a fully licensed, it's from a third party, most of them have a ring that you put on one of your fingers and is attached to a string, and you just pull it that way, and you do it again. It's a dual action blade. Now, in the Assassin's Creed books, the licensed books, I believe one of them said that it is controlled by a ring that you would slip on your pinky finger or your ring finger to extend and retract the blade. So at least the third-party ones get that right. Now, along with the standard blade, you eventually saw in the franchise, you would get specialty blades. And there have been a few different ones. This one was owned by Ezio Auditore himself. You have the hidden gun attachment, and you have what is known as a poison blade. Now, the poison blade was a hollowed out little blade that could be filled with poison, and it would be used to prick your target, because it was very brittle. There was also the pivot blade that was used by Connor Kenway in Assassin's Creed 3, and by Naoe in the recently released Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is the Phantom Blade. This was used during the French Revolutionary War by the French Assassins Brotherhood. This was used by Arnaud Dorian in Assassin's Creed Unity. So this, according to Google Images, was the Indian Matter. This was used by the Indian Assassins Brotherhood. It could extend as a normal blade, or as you see, it can split apart into 3 parts and become a trident blade. There is also the hook blade, which was used by the Ottoman Assassins Brotherhood. We saw this in Assassin's Creed Revelations, first introduced by Yusuf, who gave it to Ezio. Then we have the hidden blade that was used by the Victorian-era assassins, Jacob Fry and Evie Fry. As you can see, it's got your standard hidden blade, it's got a zipline attachment, and it's also got an attachment for poison. If I remember correctly from the games, I believe it was for poison darts, or for poison blade. Now, for those of us who played Assassin's Creed Origin and grinded everything out, you knew you could upgrade your hidden blade. This was one of the forms it could take, a two-pronged hidden blade. Not only do we see Bayek use it, but we also see it in the Assassin's Creed movie, used by the assassin Maria, I believe her name was. The filter does not like my white hoodie with the white image, although the hood's going to be off for this section. But this is the modern hidden blade, which we saw in officially released Assassin's Creed artwork. The blade is still pretty much the same, not much has changed. The only real difference is the bracer looks more simplistic and militaristic and practical. Some of the bracers we've seen the assassins use, like Ezio, were more ornate and flashy. They were still practical, but they were more detailed and ornate in nature. And if you look at the bottom, you will see a modern two-pronged hidden blade that is electrified, which can give you a little bit more power for your assassinations, or you can even use it to knock someone out if you just tap them with it, which I think is pretty cool. I wish we could see that in a future Assassin's Creed game. And thanks to Xiao Jun, who was a assassin during Assassin's Creed Chronicles China, we know there is such a thing as a hidden foot blade. I think it's pretty cool. Chronicles wasn't my favorite game, but I still think this concept is pretty cool. But that was everything on the lore of the hidden blade so far. Now I can do videos on each of the blades I mentioned in this video, which is no problem. But yeah, that's all I really have for you guys today. I'm also going to have to change my outro now. So I'm going to do the Assassin's Farewell instead of my full outro. So that was all I have for you guys today. As always, my friends, safety and peace be with you, my friends.